Okay, so we got some mail in. I went ahead and decided that, you know what? I don't like this exhaust. It was cheap. That silencer barely does anything. That one's just kind of chintzy. It seemed to fit all right, but I had a bunch of issues with it kind of rattling apart and all that stuff. So probably salvage the exhaust hangers, little rubber dealies off of there, because those are handy. But other than that, gonna go to this racing beat stuff here. So I already have a 3-inch downpipe that's gonna go on the back of this here turb ski, so I don't really need to worry about that so much. But I didn't have the rest of the stuff, so I have not even looked in here yet. I just opened it. So let's see. Oh, those are... Oh boy. They really get some stuff in here, don't they? I'm not going to take it all the way out. I just wanted to see one of the mufflers. Jeepers. How am I going to do this? They really cram some stuff in there, don't they? Well, I guess that's as much as I'm going to take a look at it for now. But anyways, this is one of the new mufflers. I got the Rev2 kit. I don't know. I just like the idea that it is basically a known constant. There's actual documentation. I could listen to the sound. I like all the things. So, and I like Racing Beat. They've been pretty good to work with. So I've placed a couple of orders with these guys over the years, and they've always seemed to come through. So highly recommend those guys if you're looking for Rx7 stuff. All right. On the other hand, after only a year and a half of waiting for my stuff to come in, I finally got the shipment. Today is the 1st of July, and I contacted him on the 17th, and I didn't hear back at all, actually. Well, actually, I take that back. I contacted him the 17th, I heard back the next day, then it was radio silence for about 10 days, and just when I thought all is lost, I'm going to have to figure it out myself, I got a tracking number. No response to any of the emails. But the final pieces that I was apparently missing from my kit, including the... Please don't be broken. Okay. The solenoid actuator for the boost control stuff, the downpipe, and a swivel 90. So I assume this is all the stuff. New guy must be welding. Shoot, I could do better than that. Anyways, it's been an adventure. I think if the communication was better, I might, not have such a problem with it. But being as there's zero communication, it's something that I can't recommend. But anyways, I will go ahead and start figuring out how I'm going to put this on here, and yeah, we'll see what we got to do. Maybe. Alright, so I've been dinking around with this for probably, I don't know, an hour after I stopped filming. Just trying to figure out what in the world I'm supposed to do here or what they were aiming at. I feel like maybe this is it. I definitely needed the swivel, and I had to move this one to the lower side to clear, which it, I guess, does. It's like, I don't even think it's clearing. No, it's touching. It's definitely touching. Where am I? Too high. So I'm gonna have to pull that down just slightly here. But then the oil cooler line is way too long and looks ridiculous the way it's snaked through here. It's rubbing on things and scratching stuff, so that's pretty cool. But I don't want to run it touching the block, because then it's gonna rub there, and I don't want to do that. The bottom one, this is interesting. And then ideally what you're doing is, because you have multiple coolant ports for the water to go through, right? You got top and bottom, top and bottom. Ideally, what you would do is the outlet side of the water pump would go like, because this is the outlet side, right? Like this goes to the radiator, and then this is the return from. So ideally what would happen is the coolant would come out and it would go in the bottom and out the top, so that you're getting a diagonal up, so that way air bubbles and stuff get pushed out of the turbo. Unless I'm just completely confused on how this water pump works here, which is very possible. I suppose it could go the other direction, but I'm almost certain you would want to draw from the bottom of the reservoir as opposed to drawing over the top. So I don't think I'm wrong on that. So, and in this case, what we're doing is we're outputting, focus. We're outputting from that nipple there, underneath the green connector, and we're coming across to the top, and we're going down. So it's possible that air bubbles in that corner up here can get trapped there forever. So very non-ideal situation here. There's just several things that I'm kind of scratching my head over. Like, this is really curious to me. Like, why? Why are we doing it like that? And then, you know, the angle here. You had the opportunity to just, I mean, it could have lined up perfectly. What? Why? So I don't know what the heck's going on here, but I have to unlock it, because I kind of just locked this one down, and then I have to rotate it just slightly more so that it's not touching my manifold, because that's not good, and then go ahead and pull it back off and then button everything down, and then I can go ahead and redo the preload on the turbo wastegate again, because that's been removed because I couldn't figure out what the heck was going on. Once all that's done, I got to test fit it, make sure everything's good, and then once that's done, then I can put the turbo blanket back on, because I can't install the turbo blanket once the turbo is on because it's too close to the manifold. So this has been an interesting experience. I don't know. This turbo better be the bee's knees. It looks cool, but this is just silliness. Anyways, I'll come back in a bit. Okay, now time to test fit it on the manifold again. Okay, so I think that's basically it. And then of course this way too long oil line. So basically that. Now I'll have to redo the preload on the turbo. Not too big of a deal, but I think everything lines up the way it's kind of intended, I suppose is the word we're using here. But I now have visible clearance between my manifold and that swivel. I have a path for coolant to go to. I have a path for coolant to go to. Everything's tightened down. So I guess it's time to get out some hose clamps and tighten her down. Do like the way this looks though. Looks super nice. So I'll bring you guys back when I'm a little further along. Okay, so I think it's time to address the wastegate actuator. I was told that it came with a 15-pound spring, so I'm assuming there's multiple inside. I don't really know. Another thing that irritates me is the fact that when I ordered this, I upgraded this, which obviously didn't come pre-installed or ready to go or anything, but also they took the liberty of removing the stock one, so I didn't even get that. So I'm sure they got to sell that on the side. So just more absolute ridiculousness from this company. I will never purchase from them again. But anyways, that's enough of that. I'm going to remove the wastegate actuator, and I'm going to take a look at what springs are in there. I think I've decided that since this isn't, you know, too bad to get to once it's underneath the car because of where this is at, I think I might try to do a pretty light spring just for tuning purposes. Maybe like 5-7 psi, something like that. which would be right around, you know, somewhere close to the stock turbo, and just kind of see where that takes me. And then as I'm tuning, you know, increase spring pressure or whatever, because that's a little bit less of a ordeal than or you know, I have the dual diaphragms too, so I could always just do some sort of actuation with boost over here to lock down this side. So yeah, I'm gonna probably try a little bit less spring pressure to begin with, at least for the beginning. I have a lot of tuning to do, and being a novice at this, I'm not super fast, and you know, I want to take my time with it, and it's kind of fun anyway. So yeah, let's get this thing apart, and then we'll go ahead and do that. Okay, so I've got it apart, and it would appear there's a single spring, red, and I believe that's 11-pound spring. Not really sure what to think about all this. Yeah, I guess you can just run kind of whatever the heck you want to do here. You can run some serious pressure. So I just used, to get this apart, interestingly enough, the flywheel socket for these things. I just put a towel in there, and I stuff that in there. It just fits perfectly. It's like a nice fit. So then I was able to, my vise isn't quite up to the task of opening up big enough for this guy, so I just put it in the press, and that seemed to do the trick. So this is an 11-pound spring. So I have red, I'm assuming that's white, gray maybe? It might be gray. We'll assume that's gray. So we got black, gray. The black one is the lightest. That's a 3-pound. The gray is a 5-pound. The pink is a 7-pound. Okay. And then the red is a 11-pound. Something about that doesn't seem right. And of course I was told this came with a 15. And to do 15 requires 2 springs according to BorgWarner, or according to TurboSmart. So really not sure how that works out. 15-pound spring. Well, let me figure out what I want to do and I'll bring you back. So according to TurboSmart's website for the IWG75, these colors are kind of wonky here, but a search further into their stuff on TurboSmart stuff gives you this, and it says that red is a 14 psi. So I say we just use the pink one. I feel like that's probably going to be where we want to be. You know what? Nah, I'll start off with 5. That way I can mess with stuff with a little less fear of problems. Because I can always use my boost control to go at least a ways beyond that. So yeah, well, we're going to start off with 5. So I'm going to put the gray one on there, and that should get me pretty close to where I want. So we're going to use this guy. Yeah, so okay, cool. So we'll throw the gray one in there, and then when I stop being the scaredy cat, we'll go to a bigger one. I don't know if it'll be this block, but okay. Okay, so I have this kind of back on here. I haven't set my preload yet, so I'm going to run this nut up until it's basically snug. My wastegate is now closed, and I'm going to put a mark on the nut. Chose the wrong color. I'm going to get a different color. Okay, and I'm going to put, I guess 2 mil worth of preload on this thing. What are these? These are 10s, right? Yes. So just turn it around twice. There's one. There's 2. I like the way this one fits better. Not that it mattered. Okay. So now we have 2 millimeters of preload on the turbo wastegate. So that should keep that closed until it's ready to open. So, nice and tight. Okay, now I'm going to have to put the turbo blanket on up here and then remount it back to the housing. That's going to be a giant nightmare, so I'm going to do that off camera. But looks like everything still clears. And I think this is probably the direction they were wanting it clocked anyways, because I had a little bit more of a bend in the clevis. And now that bend is pretty much gone. Oh, I forgot to lock it down. Why don't you guys say something? And what was that one? Okay, so that's locked down too. Okay. Bring you back shortly. Alright. I think I got it figured out. So, basically what I got going on is, well, let's just start here. So, this part of the wiring harness, I'm not going to terminate until I get it in the car, so I can decide exactly how I want that, or if I need to do something else. I have basically everything connected now. So I have my turbo oil drain, which kind of annoying because this swivel back here, the way it sits, that's about as far up as I can go before I start hitting the manifold. So that doesn't allow this tube here, which I probably should have just cut a little bit, to go down the whole time. It actually starts going back uphill. And it's going to be a little bit further exacerbated by the fact that the engine is tilted slightly because it's on a stand and it's leaning. So that engine is going to turn about here, and that could make for some interesting oil return. So not sure how that's going to play. I feel like the angle on that tube should have been slightly more askew. I'm not sure exactly which apprentice is building these pipes for them, but that's pretty ridiculous. Should drain downhill the whole time, so that sucks. Other than that, we have the, I don't know, what do we put, 5 pound, something like that. The turbo blanket, annoyingly, does touch the wastegate, but it's just like a little bit. So hopefully that's not an issue. I don't know what else I can do, because it said it was for this turbo, but it's clearly a generic. So I'm not even sure if I have it the right way around, but the other way around, it won't clear the rod. There's just not enough room for it. So I had to put it this way. Other than that, getting to that back bolt was pretty interesting, not gonna lie. So basically it's on here. So this is what I did with the plumbing up top. Got it all figured out. The hose down here, got it all figured out. So it should flow water. Whether or not air bubbles get trapped inside is to be seen. But other than that, pretty excited to run it. I'm ready to start putting that pedal to the metal. Ready to hear this thing. So yeah, I'll still have to pull off the upper intake. I still got a couple of the old, what is that, vacuum lines? I don't even know what they are. They're for the oil injection system. So got to get those capped off, kind of button a couple of things down. I still have to secure the flex fuel sensor. But speaking of which, I think we're going to abandon the old water meth injection system. I have a buddy down in Yakima that has informed me that there is at least an E85 pump that's got pretty good prices on it. So I think I'm going to try and find a barrel and just go down there and fill it up, bring it back. We'll see what kind of issues that causes me, but I figure a 40 or 50 gallon drum of that should do me all right, and enough to do the tuning on and everything, and have some fun. It's not like it's a traveling car anyways, so should be all right, and then kind of go from there. So I think if I can run E85 or something close to it, we'll have much better results here. This whole methanol injection thing is just quite ridiculous, but I'll keep an eye on the intake air temps, see what they're at, and if I run into trouble, we'll assess whether or not we need to go that route. But for now, that's just not going to happen. I'm just going to get some E85 because it's so much more trouble trying to go the methanol thing, and I didn't really like the results that thing gave me anyways. All right, I think that's it for this, guys.